Mm-mm.
Formed nearly 900 pounds of near weapons grade uranium is unaccounted for. Sources
Okay, I'm in, but I can't hear anything.
We can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Oh, the camera's off. All right, if you're just joining and you are not a formal CB12 member and would like to speak during a public session or raise any questions, comments, concerns, please enter your name and affiliation, if any, in the chat. I'll respond accordingly with your speaking turn number. We are going to go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. Thank you.
Kathy, there's somebody put something in the Q&A that the chat's disabled.
Interesting. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, I see it in the Q&A.
Alexis. Alexis.
Oh, she's typing.
Who's calling me?
Yeah. I was gonna say hopefully no one from any outside neighborhood comes in to vouch for anything.
No, I'm going to be in a rare form of grace. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
I love to speak. Let me mute myself, actually.
I'm coming on camera in a bit because I'm having dinner and I don't want to chew on people's face. But I'm here.
Hi, Luana.
What's for dinner?
Salutations. I hope everybody is staying cool. I am miserable. Winter cannot come soon enough for me. Greetings.
All the way up to May. Tonight, records at the throat of the Boston, 101 in Philadelphia, 102 in Boston, New York City.
All right. We are at how many people? Okay, I believe we're at 28. Good evening, everyone. Alexis, if you can let me know when you get a chance. But in the meantime, I want to respect everyone's time. I know we have many members on here who are very active civically and getting out the vote. And a lot of folks who have things to attend to on triple digits weather. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I might formally just interrupt the evening to formally call the meeting to order and adopt our agenda and so forth. I'll just shoot a reminder if there are folks who would like to speak. So even if it's a question, comment, you don't necessarily have a formal announcement, you want to sign up for our public session in the chat. The chat should be active and working. If you have issues with it, go ahead and use the Q&A. We will be using it as well. I'm gonna ask for a little grace. This is we're in remote. It's been a while, but it's also a two-person show on here. So if I'm looking around on a lot of screens and I might be a little bit behind, I am actively seeing the chat. Just give me a couple minutes to catch up as I facilitate and do a little bit of everything tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let me just pull up my desk.
I think Daryl's on, isn't he?
Is Daryl on there? I didn't see his name.
Daryl is
here.
on. I saw
I'm
him.
here.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Daryl. I will message you right now. Let me just kind of screen share for folks who might be joining us for the first time. And apologies if it takes up my whole screen. Here we go. For any, ooh, what's going on here? Wow. All right, let me be slower with my laptop. For anyone, cualquiera persona, I only speak two languages, sorry about that. But if you wanna be able to read along in a different language, we do have that option thanks to Zoom. Hopefully in the near future, we will have interpretation available in other languages. But for now, you can pick in English o puedes seleccionar en español, el idioma que prefieres. We are back to Zoom tonight. So for our meeting norms for folks who are now, generally this applies for everything. I'll just talk about Zoom specifically. So for our general meeting, only board members are able to speak. We do ask members of the public. That's why if there's any questions, comments, concerns, anything you think of that you really did want to raise that you can't come across, you can sign up for the public session, or you can even use the Q&A. We are monitoring it throughout the meeting. We don't engage in back and forth discussions. This isn't like your typical meeting where you're able to have like a free-flowing dialogue. This is really a meeting where we come to listen to the public. We hear out reports from our elected officials and different community members or agencies, and we vote on items before us. We're gonna ask again for everybody to follow times. So keep it tight, right? We all got 2 minutes. We keep it fair. That way we can hear from more voices tonight. For members of our elected officials and representatives, get 3 minutes. And our public session is 2 minutes. If there's anything that really you wanted to add and couldn't add, we're all on Zoom tonight, which makes it easier. So we're all seeing the chat. You can feel free to throw it on the chat or the Q&A as well, especially any links or kind of like links to flyers or websites, anything like that. Folks, I'm really going to ask everyone, please use the raise hand function. Even if we're not kind of like shouting them out immediately, as I said, there's a few of us managing the Zoom. Just keep the hand up. We'll call you as we see them. And I'll be able to identify you and be able to turn your mic on. And the same goes for the public session. So we'll call your name. And then just give us a second to be able to make sure that we can be able to see and hear you on Zoom. If you do have technical difficulties, we'll come back to you for the public session. For the chat function, it is based on open meeting law, right? It's for everything that's being shared verbally. And also for any technical difficulties. So, please refrain from, even if you disagree or anything like that of using the chat for that function. It's not your typical chat in this meeting. So again, please have your comments or your whatever you type into the chat, be focused on anything around technical difficulties, sharing information that was shared verbally. And all of our meetings have to comply, and all attendees have to comply with the MBPO or the Borough President's Code of Conduct, which you can use your phone to scan on the screen, or you can go to their website to check it out too. As I said, public session signups are going to close in about 15 minutes. So definitely, if you do know somebody that's going to be joining on, please let them know to sign up within the next 15 minutes and hop on. All of our materials are available on Airtable. So when you go to our website and also on the bottom of this screen, under the resources tab. So you can click that and you can see on our website. And then there's also a devoted link that takes you straight to where our general meeting is. And under additional meeting materials, you'll find all the resolutions that we will be voting on tonight. If there's any kind of hiccups with that as well, you can feel free to throw it on the chat. So I'm going to stop my share now so I can see everybody else. Cool. Am I on? Oh, welcome, Tiffany. Do we have quorum yet? And just as FYI, our quorum is 26. Okay, I will hold off on that. Liz, do you have anything pertinent before I move forward with our agenda?
Yeah, I wasn't able, as of when I left the apartment this morning, I didn't have available to me the minutes from our last general meeting. And I just am not able to access them from my phone. It's
Okay.
like I never seem to be able to Zoom and Airtable.
Okay, I would ask then if Daryl or any other board member might have that window available and can just throw the link in the chat. I think I saw, if I'm not mistaken, I was reading them earlier. All right, I'll get started with my very, very brief chair report. And before I pass it over to Ebenezer, really, I just want to take a second to thank each and every one of you who's on the Zoom tonight, from our board members, committee chairs, residents, city agencies, community groups, for dedication, for the presence, for your participation. What makes community boards successful is constant engagement from the public, right? If we're not working together in collaboration, if we're not hearing from each other, we're not being held accountable as a body, and vice versa, we're not really fulfilling our mission. And it's been really great to see this year so many cross-committee collaborations. There've been thoughtful and sometimes difficult positions that we've taken as a group and as a body, but also we've been able to have really exciting conversations that I think we've had as a body for the first time, at least since I've been on the board. And in some ways I don't know if that's a word, but or the proper tense, but basically we've had deeper conversations across different issues. And again, that's all in service of us fulfilling our mission and being a bridge between, the governmental agencies that we work alongside of and our community. So that can't happen without everybody showing up and being themselves and giving it their all. So thank you so much for continuing to give life to the space. And just really briefly, I know that a lot of folks throughout the city and overall tend to dread board meetings, right? Nobody ever wants to be in a meeting. But like I said, we've had really great discussions. We've had some wonderful, significant, I think, resolutions that a lot of you all have put some time and effort into building, whether it was within the committee or alongside different community groups, even with district offices. And I think that it really does set a precedent so that next session, when we regroup in the fall, we can continue really to kind of engage on a lot of those topics. I know for me personally, for the first time, we've been talking about, services for young people on the spectrum, for example. That's not a topic that was always readily discussed at the board. So now, we have a little bit more teeth to be able to engage, the DOE and be able to engage a lot of our electeds in terms of being able to understand some of those points of services in the district. And happy to say also a lot of the meetings have been really wonderful to watch and participate in. I can see the ways that, vice chairs and chairs are collaborating. We've seen so much new leadership rise this year on the board. So shout out, kudos, all the hearts and applause reactions on the screen. And to say also, a lot of our committee meetings have happened and taken place under 3 hours. I know that in the past that used to be a really big hurdle, but I just want to give, again, commend all of you and the committee chairs for really staying focused to have efficient meetings, and making sure that folks are able to kind of balance this with other commitments. I just also want to reiterate for board members, another reminder will go out this week around our board member survey. Your feedback really, really matters. That's work that we're going to be taking a look at over the summer and making sure we're aligned with the office so that when we regroup in the fall, we're able to kind of continue to improve and progress. And same thing for members of the public, especially, I know a lot of our representatives from our elected officials, y'all come every single month. So if there's ever any feedback, any best practices, same thing with folks who come every single month during public session. If there are things that you have seen in other boards, if there are things that you really enjoy about our meetings or hoped would change a little bit at our meetings, you can always reach out to the CB12 inbox and drop that. The board office can make it anonymous if you want that feedback to get anonymous to us as well. And that feedback will allow us to continue to improve as a body. So just thanks again for everything that everybody's done to continue to move the work forward. And I guess Liz, another hand, and then I was going to pass it to Ebenezer.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl, for sending me a link to the Airtable. The minutes are not in that link. The agenda is in the link, and if we have a quorum, I would happily move to adopt the agenda with the change of tabling the adopting the minutes, which we don't appear to have.
Okay. I'll make that edit. I guess it was in my inbox and did not make it to Airtable, so we'll have those just for the September meeting then. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Do we have a quorum?
I'm not sure. I gotta wait for Alexis.
I can't tell. Daryl, can you tell for me? I can't. But I did think Noemi did upload the minutes for the general meeting this morning.
Okay, let's get a second to regroup on that. Ebenezer, if you'd like to go next with your report or any kind of announcements you'd like to make, and then we'll solve on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always, it's a pleasure being here. as your district manager and give my report. You may recall last month during the my report at this meeting, the general meeting, I mentioned an issue that we had with the Radio Hotel parking garage that I observed. They were parking vehicles on the sidewalk and also on restricted signs. And I mentioned that I was working with the police department, Department of Transportation, and so on. So I am very happy to announce that that issue was resolved. The 34 precinct was very active responding to my request, as well as New York Police Department Ambassador Office, as well the New York Department of Worker and Consumer Affairs. For the last 3 weeks, I have been driving by and I don't see the abuse that was happening before, parking vehicles by charge on the city sidewalk. So I want to say thank you to the police department. I haven't had the district service cabinet meeting yet this month because last week we were celebrating, observing June 19th, Juneteenth. I'm going to have it this Thursday, so I'm going to be able to say thank you to all the city agencies that participate. I am also very happy to announce that the potholes on all the overpasses over the Trans-Manhattan Expressway has been patched. I am referring all these streets from Fort Washington to Amsterdam between 178, 179. Those street up blocks in every, the whole strength from west to east or from east to west, there are overpasses over the Trans-Manhattan Expressway. And I observed that they had a lot of potholes. I reported to DOT and they took care of that. The mayor's office notified last week and also yesterday about the extreme heat warning and recommended to use the New York City Cooling Center. I tried to gather a list for this particular district, but I was not able. Nevertheless, the mayor's office referred me to the mayor's office, to the city, NYC, the mayor's office website, and to go to the Beat the Heat link. And there you will find an Excel with all the cooling centers in the city, citywide. You type the zip code and you can find the cooling centers that we have in each zip code in our district. I will see if I can gather a list customized to our district by just downloading and copy and paste and send it to everybody in the district. And as you know, the board gonna get in hiatus this starting tomorrow when we finish this meeting. That means that we don't gonna have any board meetings. We're gonna have the committee of the whole by the end of July, but we don't have committee meetings and we're not going to have the regular meetings that we have. Nevertheless, the office remain office for business. That means that any quality service that you need, any pothole, any traffic signal that is not working, any street light, any public safety issue, anything that is bothering you, requesting city intervention, don't hesitate to call the office. Our telephone number is 212-568-8500, 212-568-8500, or you have the community board email CB12M at cb.nyc.gov. We are open. I can inspect the district every single day, all parties, but you can help me to find out whenever a need, and let me know when there is a need that need to be addressed. We're more than happy to address that for you. So thank you very much. This is the end of my report, and I hope that you have a very good and safe summer, and I see you back in September. Regarding the new members orientation, we're working on that with the chair. As soon as we have a date and time and place, we will let you know, and we will looking forward to have you as a new member for your training. Thank you. God bless you all. Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. I don't see any hands. We have reached quorum, so I'll call the meeting officially to order at 6:57 p.m. Okay. Tonight's agenda, as we've said, is posted online or at the bottom of your screen for under resources. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved, Liz Ritter.
Thank you, Liz. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Wayne. Are there any objections? Abstentions? Okay, hearing none, tonight's agenda is adopted. Thank you, Melissa, also for putting the main minutes in the chat. Also, I'll make sure we get better guidance on that because it is posted with our main meeting. So they are in the chat. Is there a motion to adopt May's minutes?
Can we give it a couple minutes so that we can actually read them?
Okay, I can do that.
Thanks.
We can do them later if that's okay with folks. All right, so with that covered, sorry, let me just find what I'm doing tonight. All right, we're gonna jump on over to reports from elected officials or their representatives. I have the order in which folks arrived. So we're gonna start with Edgar from Senator Robert Jackson's office. Is he still here? Oh yeah, Edgar. If you want to pass, Edgar, let me know. Calling Edgar Tavares.
And I can keep the time.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. All right, Edgar, I'm gonna come back to you, okay? All right, we're gonna go next to Lori, who I do see on the screen. Lori Tobias Cohen from Congressmember Adriano Espaillat's office. And you got 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Oh, all right. Edgar, you got saved because and Lori's having issues with unmuting. So go ahead.
So you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
Okay, so what's the fun stuff? Everybody knows.
I can't hear. Does that sound muffled?
Yeah, Edgar, I was gonna say if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Oh. Hold on, how about now?
Yeah.
Do I sound better now? Or
yeah, you sound better now.
Okay, so I'll start with the fun stuff first. Saturday, June 28th, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., we are doing our first annual Father's Day in collaboration with Tag Team Basketball. We know it's not Father's Day this weekend, but we didn't want to collide with people actually spending time with their family. But, and actually extend that to another day where most people might be free. And so we're going to be having, skills challenges, 2-on-2 games, free throw contests against Senator Jackson. We're going to have family picnic on the sidelines. There's going to be a variety of free food. And we're also going to have a variety of local nonprofits sharing resources, information, possibly even merch. So, we have a QR code. You can check our newsletter. We sent it to the different CDs. You can check it out on the senator's Instagram, all of that good stuff. So, hope to see you there. And aside from that, also know there are 2 more hearings for the Rent Guidelines Board, which is the dominant issue. And it's Friday, June 27th at 125 Worth Street from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And on Monday, June 30th, which is the public meeting for the final vote, and that's at 7 p.m. at Museo El Barrio. That's on 5th Avenue by 104th Street. And I'll just highlight one bill that the senator is, fighting to push, and that has to do with the I'm having difficulty finding the bill number. Okay, here we are. It's S945, Senate Bill S945. This is the People's Budget and Democratic Balance Act, which is a bold step to fix a system where one office, the executive branch, holds too much power over how New York spends its money and shapes its laws. And, you know, we've seen the time over and over again where state budgets get practically held hostage for almost even an entire month over policies that don't, you know, the governor doesn't want to discuss in a public hearing, but rather during a budget session. So this is something that the senator is trying to get across so that we could democratize the process just a bit. And that'll be it. That's my report.
Okay, and just S945 was the people's budget, right?
Yes, that's 945.
Okay, perfect. Are there any board members that have questions for Edgar? For any members of the public, feel free to use the chat and he can actually reach out directly to you as well.
And I'll put my info in.
Perfect. All right. Thanks,
Chair, I had a
Edgar.
question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Indiana.
Sorry, could you please clarify when is this bill has been introduced? When is they're hoping to like move on it in the fall? Is that they're hoping to vote on it in the fall?
That's the likelihood, yeah, because you know, the you know session is pretty much on pause for the summer, but it is something that it was introduced uh, during the time when the state budget was being discussed, and so this is something that the senator is pretty passionate about pushing later in the year.
Okay,
I think we
thank
lost
you.
you there. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Of course. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Edgar. Stay cool out there. Hope you got enough water. We're gonna move back to Lori from Congressmember Adriana Espaillat's office.
Okay, I think I have resolved the issues. Everyone can hear me okay? Yes? Okay, so I shall, good, I shall continue. The congressman has been his usual peripatetic self, trying to deal with the chaos machine and outrages that are the result of this current administration. Many of you may have heard about the Hernandez family with children, most of whom are American citizens, one at least who is not, and that the family resides in Mexico, but was traveling to Houston to follow up on their daughter's treatment after surgery for a brain tumor, when they were intercepted by ICE, put in custody, and returned to the border, and returned to the Mexican border, despite the very clear directives from the hospital.
I will send her and I'll do it group wise. I don't want to do it
folks,
individually because something I cannot, right? It's like,
please mute. Please mute. We can hear you. Please mute.
I think we got him. Thank you.
So the congressman traveled to Monterrey, Mexico to meet with the family. Monterrey. And earlier this month, it's been incredibly disruptive. He is working to get.
And that was Sunday?
1 second. I'm sorry. All right, Laura, you can unmute yourself for a second. For some reason, I couldn't.
I don't even recall that I respond. So I look.
Wow. 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Lori, can you unmute yourself? Oh, you can't? Okay. No. Oops, sorry. Try now. Let me see. Do you wanna
I think we're good.
There you go.
Sorry,
Okay, there we
sorry.
go. We're good. We're good. Go. Sorry.
Okay, so I hope that didn't count toward my 3 minutes, all the interruptions. Anyway, but no, the point is that the congressman has intervened on behalf of this family and commented that this is happening to green card holders, to U.S. citizens, and particularly to children. This is not, and we have too many examples now. This is no longer an area of an issue of children, families lacking documentation. So moving on from that, in addition, the congressman, in concert with the Congressional Black Caucus, Chair Yvette D. Clarke, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, of which he is the chair, and the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus Chair, Grace Meng, have been protesting the actions in New York to weaken the sanctuary cities provisions thankfully, around many of our cities, and the impact that is having on, in particular, the Dominican community, as well as others. And we will see, by the way, going forward, that this leadership of three, this linkage of these caucuses, is a valuable way for our elected officials to move forward in the constant need to protest what is coming out of this administration. But now for a few more domestic and positive comments. The NYPD has installed additional security cameras near the bodegas in our area in the 13th district. And this was funded in part by a grant from Congressman Espaillat. And as we know, there have been terrible things that have happened around bodegas, especially I'm aware of them in Inwood. And so the presence of these security cameras will hopefully, it's 38 new surveillance cameras which in high crime areas, which will hopefully keep bodega owners and customers much safer as we move into even more difficult days this summer. And finally, I want to comment on the Harlem River Environmental Restoration Study that is finally, thankfully, moving forward. And that New York City committed $500,000, and there are matching funds from both Congressman Espaillat and Representative Richie Torres. And the congressman says of this, that restoring the Harlem River is not just an environmental imperative, it's an opportunity to reconnect communities with their waterfront, improve public health, and build resilience against climate change. So all very valuable and important goals, and the fulfillment of the congressman's ongoing commitment to these developments. And I'll happily take questions.
Perfect. I do see a hand from, was that Tanisha followed by Jamina?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Cohen, for your detailed report from the Congressman's office. We truly appreciate it. I have a comment and a question. First, I want to say, hold on.
Tanisha, we lost your audio.
No, thank you. I muted for a second. Okay, First I want to say, we definitely have Black people, Black immigrants from countries who are also feeling this fascist move by our government. We do not want to isolate anyone in our community and give a false narrative of one set of people, because that is not it. So I wanted to lift that up. We stand behind all of our migrants, all of our asylum seekers who are being harassed and brutalized right now by ICE. So my question is, thank you for the report about what ICE is doing, but I would like to know what the congressman is doing. You know, where I come from, we say stay ready to get ready. And we know we have all of these, these things coming from the government, the federal government. So what is the Congress doing, especially our Congress doing to protect our people in our neighborhood? Thank you.
The congressman, as you may have read, and forgive me for not covering this, is he and others have been going to the detention centers and trying to exert their constitutional right to witness how these people are being treated, how these people, many of whom, of course, are being profoundly wrongly detained. And they have been turned away, and they have had to resort to the courts where there are ongoing fights to try and get the access that they're entitled to. So in that way, the congressman and his colleagues are trying very, very hard to shed some light and clarity on what is happening to the victims of this situation. That is one thing he is definitely doing, and I am happy to dig a little deeper and get you some more information and speak with you sometime very soon, if that would be convenient.
Domina, go ahead.
Hello, good evening. So my question is regarding the congressman's statement on Senator Alex Padilla. Would we expect the congressman to have formal communication or statement in regard to the city comptroller Brad Lander, since the incident was relating to ICE detaining elected officials? Could our local city elected officials expect the same support from the congressman? That's my first question. And the second part would be, if Congressman Adriano Espaillat is very pro-immigrant and supporting local residents regarding ICE and things like that, why would he support the same candidate that receives the same funding from Trump? I just find a little hypocrisy that our congressman supports Cuomo during these times.
So you're alleging that Governor Cuomo has received funding. This has received funding from the same people as President Trump.
Not allegedly. The records are public. It's
okay. All right. That is that's a rhetorical question. To be honest, that's really more of a comment than a question. And I am not privy to the congressman's deliberations around issues of that kind. Again, you are welcome to email me and I will submit it to, and it's an electoral question, and my role is governmental, and the practice and the things that he does vis-a-vis his role in government, whereas what you're commenting on is much more of an electoral comment, which I can try to pass on to the team that deals with those issues, which I'm happy to do.
Yeah, this is Jim Berlin, the parliamentarian. Allow me to interrupt. The community board only discusses community issues. We never talk about politics. So although I understand, the urgency of what was being said, that's sort of the sort of discussion that is not permitted at community board meetings. We talk about policy essentially. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lori, and thank you, Jim. We're gonna move on to Peter from Assemblymember Manny de los Santos' office.
Good afternoon, evening, everyone. Hope everyone is staying as cool as humanly possible. So to quickly go into my report, this Friday, There is also the Play with a Purpose basketball event happening at Dykeman Park. It will begin at 3 p.m. with tabling from various organizations regarding the cause of this basketball event, which is mental health, substance treatment, supportive housing, and men's mental health, and specifically since it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. There will also be a basketball game at 6 p.m. at which I am promised that the assembly member will both appear and play at. So if anybody is interested in seeing his hoop skills, definitely check that out. I dropped in the chat earlier that this Saturday we are having a citizenship workshop in partnership with Naleo. That workshop is by appointment only. On the flyer is the number. I dropped it in the chat as well. I'll drop it both the flyer in English and Spanish, as well as the phone number once again for registering if anyone is interested or would like to pass along that information to anyone who might be interested. This is a really great workshop for really orienting yourself towards the entire process of citizenship, what the whole process entails, the exam preparation, all the legal questions. Naleo is an absolute fantastic organization in doing this work. So I would urge anyone who has any curiosity or questions about that issue to please attend this Saturday. In addition, we will be having some more park cleanups forthcoming in the next month in July. Exact dates are still TBD, but I will pass that along. If you join the chat later, earlier posts don't appear, so I'll just drop those back in response to Catherine's point. So yeah, we'll be having more cleanups forthcoming very shortly, be sharing that information. And then lastly, the piece of legislative information I'd like to pass along is that the Assembly member introduced a new bill at the end of session, bill number A08588, which is the Mitchell-Lama Affordability and Protection Act. Essentially, this bill is intended to create a new funding device for Mitchell-Lama buildings that are funded by the New York State Housing Finance Agency to access larger funds to make energy efficient upgrades, while at the same time protecting tenants from rent increases or maintenance increases. The idea being that the buildings will get access to new funding to make these improvements to the building, in the understanding that they will limit increases in rent and maintenance charges for periods of at least 30 years to the residents of those buildings, with the intention of modernizing this housing stock, promoting sustainability, and preserving the long-term affordability of our low and middle income housing stock. So anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
Okay, I see a hand. Go ahead, Bruce.
What is that bill number again, please?
Sure. It is A08588.
Thank you.
Of course.
Go for it, Wayne.
Also to follow up on that Mitchell-Lama bill, is the funding that will be provided grant funds, or is it, are they loans?
The specificity of the funding is a question I'd have to get back to you on. I'm not sure at this moment, but I will make a point of it and email the board, and if you'd like, yourself directly.
Okay. I ask because, I mean, if it's a loan fund, even if it's a low interest rate, you're going to have to increase the maintenance to cover the debt service. So I would be careful in the language that's used in the law, because if you're saying in exchange for this funding, you can't increase it. That wouldn't make sense. But if there's some, limit or some provision where the increases are tied to affordability, that might make more sense.
No, yes, the limit, it's limits, not an absolute bar on any potential increases. It's entering into, I don't know if there's a specified rate over that 30-year period, but it is not absolutely limiting any potential increases, just capping them, is my understanding.
Okay. I don't see any new hands, so thank you so much for joining us tonight, Peter, and you can just reshare the flyers with everyone. I know that the settings automatically go to host. All right, next Up, we have Noah Coy from Public Advocate Jamani Williams' office.
Awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening. I hope everyone's doing well and staying cool in this triple-digit heat that we had yesterday, today, we're probably gonna have tomorrow. So I have a couple of updates to share. So the Public Advocate did deliver his annual State of the People address last Tuesday, June 17th. And he delivered remarks on the quote unquote state of uncertainty that the city faces at this moment. So in his speech, the public advocate addressed the role of advocacy in delivering change and the moral imperative to take on these challenges on behalf of the vulnerable. And he spoke to the need to confront uncertainty based on principles rather than polls or politics. And as the voice of the people in government, the public advocate addressed the need to hold power to account. So after the public advocate gave his opening remarks, he took questions from New Yorkers all around the city in attendance regarding the unknowns for our city and communities. And there's actually a replay, like full video of the event that was uploaded to YouTube. So if anyone's interested in watching a replay of the Public Advocate State of the People address, you can go on YouTube, search Office of the New York City Public Advocate. You should be able to find our office's YouTube channel. And then the video should be titled State of the People Town Hall. So that is that. And I just wanted to touch on a question I was asked during last month's general board meeting regarding Intro 408, which is a bill that the public advocate introduced, which would create a division within the Department of Small Business Services to provide resources for street vendors and facilitate important educational and training programs on safe vending. So if I remember correctly, I believe the question asked if there were any resources for street vendors or any training programs for street vendors and the community board, so Washington Heights and Inwood specifically. I asked my office and I was told that there are no specific resources or programs specific to street vendors in the community. It's just like blankets, resources and training, educational training programs are available, would be available to street vendors all around the city. So yeah, that is all that I have to share, but I would be more than happy to answer any questions if anyone has a question.
Quiet bunch. Well, thanks, Noah.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time,
it as
everyone.
always.
I
Yeah, have a
appreciate it
good
all.
summer.
Take care. Have a good night.
Okay. I want to see if she's still here. We have Tiffany Brown joining us from City Hall. Just want to see if she's still
I'm
on.
still here.
Okay, awesome. Welcome, Tiffany.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just have two things I want to report on really quick. The first being, excuse me, our great Mayor Eric Adams and New York City Director of Rodent Mitigation, Kathy Karate, and the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation Commissioner Iris Rodriguez Rosa announced the creation of new specialized teams to tackle New York City's rat population and 600,000 of the city's street tree beds. My next announcement will be Mayor Adams' Department of City Planning kick off public engagement on Manhattan's plan, an ambitious proposal to add 100,000 new homes to borough over the next decade. Mayor Eric Adams and New York City's Department of City Planning Director and City Planning Commission Chair launched the public engagement process, including a new website and survey for the Manhattan Plan, an ambitious initiative to tackle Manhattan's deep housing shortage by adding 100,000 new homes to the borough over the next decade. With that being said, that concludes my report. Just also want to say, as the weather is rising, as we are hitting this heat wave, I encourage everyone, as Ebenezer spoke earlier, please tap into the 311 site. Please call into 311 so that you can locate your cooling centers. I'm also asking if anyone in the community, if you have any elders that you see need some attention, or if anything is going on with them during these hot days that we are encountering, please feel free to reach out to me so we can bring assistance to them. I left my information in the chat. And I guess this is our last meeting until September, so I hope everyone enjoys their summer. Be safe, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in September.
All right, thanks, Tiffany, but not so fast. We got two hands, if you don't mind. We have Indiana and Wayne.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to thank the mayor's office for coming to our meeting. I know that they don't always come. I had a question. I was wondering, the Manhattan Plan initiative that you discussed, what is the timeline and what is I know the idea is, I guess, to collect ideas for locations for housing, but what is the projected timeline after you collect community feedback? What is kind of like the product that we can expect after we submit the feedback, and what is the timeline for that? Thank you.
I will look further into that, and what I will also do is send the whole link to CB12 so it can be shared with you so you can read about it yourself, and I will circle back with you. Like, again, my contact information is in the chat, so if you can just jot that down and me and you can talk offline, I will get that information for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, Tiffany. It's Wayne Benjamin, and I chair land use of CB12.
Yes.
We already have the presentation on the Manhattan Plan that Department of City Planning shared with the committee, but I just want to confirm with you that the idea is for anyone and everyone is available to provide their ideas for locations for new housing directly to city planning through the website, and they do not have to go through the community board or any third parties. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes.
Great. So, I mean, community members are, they're empowered to share their ideas directly. And as Indiana said, we look forward to seeing what comes of this effort.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Tiffany. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
And last and certainly not least, we have a report from our Manhattan Borough President's Office with our dedicated liaison, Porfirio Figueroa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Porfirio Figueroa. I'm the Deputy Director of Community Affairs for the Manhattan Borough President's Office. The Manhattan Borough President, Mark Levine, has urged the Rent Guidelines Board to vote for rent freeze for rent-stabilized tenants in 2025 after 3 years of it being increased. The Rent Guideline Board will have a final vote for proposed lease adjustments on Monday, June 30th at 7 p.m. However, you can still submit testimony through Friday, the 27th of June. I also want to let you know that we have a Know Your Rights webinar, and I'm going to put that in the chat. I just hit the send button. So it's a Know Your Rights webinar tomorrow, Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. in collaboration with CUNY School of Law and Community Legal Network. As I said, it's posted in the chat with the link, so I would urge you all to take that. The Manhattan Borough President, in partnership with Hudson Guild, will be hosting a summer constituent services pop-up Thursday, June 26th, from 2 to 4 at the Hudson Guild at 119 9th Avenue. The staff will be there with housing from NYCHA and HPD, social services, etc., to review and help with anything related to SNAP, cash assistance, fares, city agency issues such as DOB, DOT, DOF, and general city resources. Isabella Nursing Home has reopened as a cooling center, so I urge you all to please take this heat wave seriously. This is a great asset and addition to CB12, especially since we lost the one at Fort Washington Collegiate Church. I don't want the month to go by without saying Happy Pride, everyone. And the Manhattan Borough President, staff, and volunteers will be marching in the annual Pride Parade on Sunday, the 29th. So if you want to march with the Borough President's office, you can go to events at manhattanbp.nyc.gov to sign up. And that concludes my report.
Okay, are any board members with questions for Porfirio? No? All right, well, thank you, Porfirio, for all the support, all your help, all your guidance during this session. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, but Porfirio, did you say that the cooling center that's going to be available is at Isabella?
Yes, I sent that information to the CB12 office actually the night before last.
All right, well, that's really big news. This is
yes,
this is
they
the
haven't
first
been open since the pandemic. Yeah.
Yes, this is the first time Isabella has opened its doors to the general public since the start of COVID. Very good. Very
It's a
good.
great addition to CB12 for sure.
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead, Liz.
This isn't so much a question for Porfirio, but just a comment about cooling centers. My understanding was that today, and I believe tomorrow as well, the Cabrini Shrine was open today as a cooling center. So I think they are offering that tomorrow also.
I just want to shout out the Cabrini Shrine in general. They have been exceptionally receptive to the community, to immigrants with the Community Immigrant Center, and also they have been a tremendous help to Fort Washington Collegiate in these tough times. So they have really stepped up for the community.
All right, well, thanks again, Porfirio. And all the info is in the chat if folks need it.
Great.
All right, and that concludes our reports from elected officials. So we're going to go ahead and shift to the public session. So give me 2 seconds to move my screen. Daryl's also helping with timing. So if you hear his phone go off, that's your time. So we're going to start with Tanya Bonner and the Noise Task Force. Yep.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I'm in an airport waiting to board, so hopefully it's not too much noise. My name is Tanya Bonner, and I am the chair of the Inwood Task Force on Noise. We are a community founded and run advocacy group pushing for the reduction of noise pollution in our community of Washington Heights and Inwood since 2020. I would like to express my support for agenda item H. I would also like to thank the Health and Environment Committee for taking this step and actually hearing the community and trying to ensure there is accountability around the management and functioning of the plazas, public plazas, as it relates to unreasonable noise. It is something our task force has been seeking for several years, including at a recent public hearing on noise in our public plazas that was held in May. Again, our task force is not opposed to communities like ours having spaces to gather and relax. But what we are opposed to is these spaces being used as de facto concert halls and preventing residents nearby from the ability to rest, work, convalesce, sleep, study, etc. in their own homes due to unreasonable noise allowed to persist, due to lack of regulations regarding event frequency, ensuring events are actually permitted, and the use and length of use of amplified sound. Our community of Washington Heights and Inwood has a total of 6 plazas. The only communities in Manhattan that have as many as that are in heavily commercial districts like Times Square and Flatiron. This oversaturation of public plazas exacerbates the already vulnerable community health of our community, a community that is already disproportionately impacted by issues of diabetes, heart disease, hypertension compared to other city districts. Scientific studies have shown for decades that excessive noise exacerbates all those health conditions and more, and is a public health issue. Everyone has a right to quiet enjoyment of their own homes, as is stated in many of our lease agreements. And as with anything, there needs to be balance. And we need to ensure that we balance enjoyment of plazas with respect for the physical and mental health of our community. Our children sleep, study, and sleep here. Our working people need sleep to work or an appropriate place in their home to work from home. Our elderly need peace and rest. Those with illness need to heal. Our veterans need safe mental health zones in their communities. We should all care about that. We should all want a healthy community, and this resolution is an important step in ensuring that the plazas in our community are examples of that community respect. Thank you. Catherine, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Wow, I was going off. Thank you, I said Tanya. And again, resolution H available at the bottom of the screen and on our website. Our next speaker is going to be Ingrid Renderos from the Family Enrichment Center.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everyone can hear me?
Correct.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll make it very brief. My name is Ingrid Renderos, and I am the FEC Director here in Washington Heights and Inwood. For anyone that's not familiar, it's the Family Enrichment Center of Washington Heights and Inwood. Tonight, very briefly, I want to share that anyone that's on this Zoom, please email me for us to connect. Let me start there. And my email is Renderos, and actually what I'll do is I think right now I can put it in a moment, but in case it's I and my last name Renderos as in Sam at myfamilycenter.org. So right now I'm promoting, we're going to have an event on Saturday, but this one is in Spanish only. It's this Saturday, June 28th, trying to get the word out in the community. It's going to be happening this Saturday at 11 o'clock, right on 168th Street at the Hammer Health Science Building. Madam Chair, I know she's going to help me with putting up the flyer and the link. I'm very excited about this event because it's going to be in Spanish, like I said, and it's about dream building. In other words, how do you achieve your dreams? And it's a 3-hour free seminar for a Latina executive that's a life coach. At the Family Enrichment Center, we do believe in really supporting community members to realize their dreams for themselves, for their family, for their children. So I'm really making a call out to everyone who's on here. You can email me, and there it is. Thank you. It's already in the chat. Please grab it. And I would love to have a lot more of the community to participate. It is in person, and it will be all in Spanish. Does anyone have a question for me? Because I don't hear the alarm yet.
No. If anyone, they can also, like I said, you could put your email in the chat. Normally, we use the chat for that purpose, or if there's like any clarifying questions during the public session.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I really hope that your community, anyone that you are serving, please let them know because it is in Spanish. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And next up, we have Anthony Carrion from the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot. I got to unmute folks. Give me a second.
And Catherine, while we're waiting, just to reiterate what we said at the beginning of the meeting about norms and how to use chat. It should be for clarifying questions and information like emails and links, etc.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't following.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Thank you, Madam Chair, Catherine, and thank you to everybody here. Good evening, Community Board 12. My name is Anthony Carrion. I'm a community coordinator with the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. I'll just put in the chat here just our link to vote right now. I'm just wanting to make a final push, encourage everyone to vote now till Wednesday, June 25th, midnight. You can vote for projects here in Manhattan, how $660,000 are spent. Many of them are youth-related projects and would benefit the community. All you have to do is put in your zip code. So I encourage you, if you haven't voted yet, to please do so now, and to encourage anybody in your network to vote as well. The People's Money, just in the time that I have left, is a citywide participatory budgeting program that happens every single year. And we've had a 6-week vote period, and we're making the final push in these last couple of hours to get out the vote. So if you haven't already, please do so now, or encourage other people in your network to vote as well. And that's all I have. Thank you so much. Happy Election Day, everybody. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take those as well. Thank you all.
Are there any questions? I just want to offer a point. When we had our community board did a tour of the New York Public Library in Inwood, and that's where we came across the paper forms for the People's Money for Manhattan. Do you know where, I guess, yeah, this part kind of clarifying, because we would love to share that out, but do you know if there are any other sites that have that physically outside of the library?
Apart from the
office could get it.
Well, yeah, the New York Public Library, Brooklyn Public Library, Queens are all partners. They're hosting ballot boxes, and there are other community partners throughout the 5 boroughs that are hosting ballot boxes at their sites. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure which ones in Washington Heights and Inwood specifically, but we do contract with community partners who help us get out the vote.
Okay, cool, thanks. And we've been putting the digital version on our newsletter, I believe.
Thank you so much, appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Anthony, for joining us. Next up, we have Danny Pearlstein.
Hi, good evening. My name is Danny Pearlstein. I live on Riverside Drive at the corner of Seaman Avenue, and I am here in support of Resolution J, the Greenway connector for Riverside Drive. I have 2 young children, and I hope one day that they will be able to cross the street by themselves and walk to school. The Greenway connector will get bicycles off the sidewalk, and it will narrow the traffic and slow it down. You know, every time I cross the street, there are people running red lights, there are people speeding because it is a highway, and this Greenway connector will make it a residential street. I want to thank DOT for working so hard on a nuanced proposal, and the Transportation Committee for taking such a close look at it earlier this month and coming out in support. I urge the full board to follow their lead. The chair did a wonderful job, and I am so grateful for their support. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny, for joining us. I do see in the chat also a relevant comment as well from the public. Next up, we have David Tom.
Hello. Yes, this is David Tom. I live in Inwood, and I just wanted to speak briefly in support of both the resolution for the noise regulation in public plazas. I think Tanya Bonner covered all the points very comprehensively, so I'll just say that it's a very reasonable resolution and it's very rational, and it will lead to higher quality of life and harmony in the community. And second, in support of the bike lane connectors for Riverside Drive and Dyckman Street, these are part of the missing links in the major artery of the bike greenway that will one day loop Manhattan. There's a lot of work still to be done. There'll be future projects in Inwood on 10th Avenue coming up next year, and some other segments yet to be completed. But this is certainly part of that. And you know, I, as a resident of the neighborhood for 17 years, I'd like to express my support. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And next up, we have Aurelia Taveras. Don't know exactly which business, but I know she will share. So go ahead, Aurelia.
Hi, everyone. Can you see me? I don't know if you can see me. Okay.
We can hear you, but
know.
we can't see you. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay. My name's Aurelia Tavares. I am the representative for Havana Heights, a restaurant at 621 West 172nd Street. They applied for a sidewalk cafe, which was already approved by DOT, but we still have to pass through community board as well. And I just wanted, we presented our package, our full package to the community board, but by accident, she didn't, I don't know, she didn't send it to the licensing committee. So I'm coming here today so that we don't have to wait another 3 months for the approval from the community board. You can, if you want to consult with Isidro, we did send a completed package to the community board. So it was recommended to me to come today so that the resolution to disapprove it or that it to be withdrawn, I recommend that for us on our part that it be approved because there's no, it's six tables outside with 2 seats each. Havana Heights has been a community partner. They close at 11 p.m. Their tables are off the ground by 10. There's really no issue at this location, never had a disciplinary with SLA and is a community partner. I asked just for record keeping sake, and because DOT is already slow as molasses, by not getting the community support as well, it would affect their final license because it'll take longer and summer's, this is summer. So I respectfully request that the community board approve this sidewalk cafe application. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurelia. Folks, just give me a few minutes. I think we have an update when it comes to that item. And again, that's Havana Heights. I think Isidro's on there. We can speak about it a little bit later down the meeting. Next up, we do have Kate Williamson. And I will unmute you and then you should be okay to speak, Kate.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me a moment to speak. And I wanted to speak also in favor of the bicycle lane on that stretch of Riverside Drive. My neighbor was hit by a car there, a hit and run. I've seen a dog killed. It's very scary. And I live right at the corner and I see people run the red light all hours of the day. It's not just at night. I've been crossing the street and a car accelerate, clearly with the light, and the car accelerated. It's wild, and it feels like everyone just does what they want with impunity. And I think this proposal seems like a very sensible proposal to calm the traffic without, really negatively affecting. And we have a car, so I mean, I'm someone who parks on the street. And I'm not worried about this. I'm just very grateful. I don't think it's going to be a negative impact to the car folks in our neighborhood. And I think it's going to be doing a lot to get us toward this, vision zero that they talk about. So I hope that the board will support this proposal because I think it makes a lot of sense and will save lives. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate, and welcome to your first community board meeting. We usually are in person or hybrid. So in September, feel free to come back and you'll see over our emails through our newsletter just what other agenda items are talking forward for this month. With Kate, that does conclude our public session this evening. And we will be able to start discussing what are the resolutions before us. Again, for members who may be joined in a little late, at the bottom of your screen under resources, you have the link to our Airtable, and there you have all the resolutions on the agenda tonight. So the first batch is my responsibility. All right, so executive committee this month, we tackled dining out our sidewalk cafe, 4 applications for sidewalk cafes. I'll turn it over to Isidro to speak a little bit further about them. If folks remember, sidewalk cafe process has shifted. The dining out program has changed. And so we essentially get them when we get them, and then we have a really tight time frame. So within the office, similar to our cannabis applications, we've set kind of like an A through D plan so that our board and our district always has the opportunity to opine and we don't miss that window. And so that's why these came to the executive committee. Under executive, you'll be able to see some of those applications and again, what the seating arrangements are outside, what the materials, many of these are items that they have to comply with SLA and DOT. And I think some of the kind of like a lot of the changes, one of the things really clear for I think especially a lot of our newer members is that music can't be played outside. I know that's something that consistently does come up. So just so that folks are aware that is addressed. I see that. I don't know if I missed anything more specific there or any other members from the executive committee.
Yeah, so on those 4 resolutions, if you recall, there was a friendly amendment to all the sidewalk cafes. I think it was brought either by Wayne Benjamin or Jim Berlin, and that is to add and whereas that the hours for sidewalk cafe are going to be followed through as the Jackson rules, which permits restaurant to stay open on Fridays and Saturdays until midnight, and then the rest of the nights until 10 o'clock at night. So that'll be the only comment that I will add, not only to the 4 that you are presenting as the executive resolutions, but also the ones that will be introduced at the licensing committee. And I think that's basically it on my end.
Steve?
Isidro, what was the, I thought the time limit on Fridays and Saturdays was going to be 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Steve. So I double checked the background of the Jackson rules, and it does state that Fridays and Saturdays, they'll be open until midnight. Then the rest of the nights will be open until 10 p.m.
Okay.
If there aren't any other questions on those 4 items, I do want to add, it's not reflected on our agenda, but executive committee, and thanks to Anthony, who's not present tonight, but took the first take on the draft, is designing guidance materials for elected officers. So as you know, we have our bylaws, and at exec over the last year, we've been working on building a foundation of tools because frankly, many of us come into the elected officer roles or even committee chairs, vice chairs, and we're figuring it out on our own. Oh, sorry, Carl, you're sharing with everyone for the meeting, by the way. So essentially folks don't always know what we got to do next. So Anthony took the first pen on guidance materials, starting first with our elected officers. So that way in the fall, when the nominating committee happens and when new folks come in, it's, you have something to be able to go off of. These are not kind of like set in stone like our bylaws. These are iterative, right? So they're just procedural documents. So those are things that we can always edit each month. Because it didn't make it into tonight's general meeting agenda, what we can do is it is on our Airtable under executive committee, and we do have committee of the whole. It is more of kind of like a vote I think the goal would be to vote on it in July if I can get a quorum. If not, definitely, absolutely in September. So that way we know like, hey, this is the first take of the documents that we're moving forward with, and at executive committee and through elected officers, those edits and add-ons as time goes on can always be amended. It is a series of 6 documents again for each one of the roles. Any questions on that? Okay, cool. I'm going to pass it to Housing and Human Services, which will be, yeah, is it a question for me, Alexis?
Just what about the adoption of the minutes?
Oh yeah, thank you. So we do have our May minutes, folks got a chance to hopefully read them. Is there a motion to adopt our May minutes?
Motion.
First by Isidro, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Daryl. Are there any objections or abstentions? Okay, hearing none, our May minutes are adopted and you can find them at the May meeting in Airtable. Next up, we have Housing and Human Services. Huge shout out to Indiana and Jay for holding it down and being a dynamic duo. They do have two resos to bring forth to us. So go ahead, Indiana.
Sorry, thank you. Let me pull them up. Sorry, I didn't realize that I was going to be presenting on the actual resos, but which is there one that you want to do first? Either one is fine?
No, totally up to you.
Okay, so while I'm pulling it up, I can just say one of the resolutions is related to the Rent Guidelines Board, which, as we know, is wrapping up their public hearing process right now. And in the past, we have also passed resolutions calling on them to either limit or freeze the rent increases that are allowed in the coming year, which I believe start in October, leases that happen in October of 2025. And I'm pulling up the actual reso. So Jay, if there's anything that you want to add, please go ahead.
Just what I would say is it's very similar to the one that we did last year, except on the resolved part, because this time there was, from my understanding, there is no New York City Council resolution pushing for a decrease in rent. So it lays out both either a rent freeze or a decrease in the resolved. And then I know Tanisha had one minor edit to the, I don't think it's reflected in the resolution, just waiting for that number. But she wanted to change the number on the average income for the neighborhood or for the community board. Those are the only two things I would point out.
Okay, cool. So I would say just if you do have that language from Tanisha, so we can get it to the office, ideally tomorrow, since the hearings, I'm not sure when the hearings wrap up, but we can expedite that one to go out before the end of the week. So
yeah, it's just I'll follow up with her. It's just updating the number. She said there was a different number she wanted to actually put it.
Cool. Steve?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't find this resolution on Airtable. Was it posted?
I don't think it's on there. Hold on. I can throw it into the chat. Give me a second.
Jay, do me a solid. Can you just share screen if you have it in front of you for the results? Just so folks see the results at minimum.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me do that then.
Okay. While you do, actually, no, let's pause on that one since folks need to see.
Okay. Share the screen. And after I'm done sharing, I'll still throw it in the chat.
Thank you. And sorry about that, everyone. I saw the HPD one.
All right. So these are updated. But what I would say, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So I would say that this year, this number had changed in May. Although they had proposed 4.75, they lowered it, so I updated that. This is based on the report that RGB releases. And then the number that we were talking about is the median household income. Tanisha said it should be lower, and she has another source to reflect that. So that's the only thing that needs to be updated. And then again, because the city council, from my knowledge, is not doing another resolution to decrease the rent. I sort of acknowledge it at the resolved and then urge the board to either adopt a rent freeze or at minimum the lowest proposed increase and consider a rent reduction, recognizing the overwhelming financial hardship faced by rent stabilized tenants as reflected. And then this is just the rent reduction. So keep it there. Let me know if you guys have questions. And then
There's in the chat says there's a indentation on one of the whereases, so you can fix that after. Just
okay.
to verbally say the amendments.
All right. I'm just gonna.
Steve, do you have anything?
No, I mean, I just, I'm assuming it's consistent with past resolutions of ours, so I'm sure it's okay.
I threw it in the chat for you guys to download it since it wasn't in the.
Thank you, Jay, for that. Cool. Do you want to briefly walk through or either one of you for the HPD one?
Yes, I can do the second one. I've got it up right now. So the second resolution, we're calling for, well, let me do a little bit of background, right? There's a program through HUD that is called the Home First Down Payment Assistance Program, where applicants who qualify are given a forgivable loan for 20% of the total cost of a buyer's first home, up to $100,000. And to qualify or to even apply for this program, there's an $850 application fee, which in and of itself keeps a lot of people who may qualify from applying. So the resolution aims to target that, like eliminating that very first barrier to even seeing if you qualify or are able to benefit from this program. So the resolution calls for a reduction of the application fee to be dropped from $850 to $250. And also a reduction in the processing time for applications, because what a lot of applicants who do qualify or who likely qualify find is that when they find a home that they're interested in purchasing, they don't have a decision on this loan down payment assistance initiative in time. And so they lose the opportunity at applying to purchase the home. So it's reducing the application processing time to 2 months. So the resolved is that Manhattan Community Board 12 supports the reduction in the application fee for HPD's Home First Down Payment Assistance Program to a more reasonable fee of $250, as well as the capping of the application processing time to 2 months. Further, Manhattan Community Board 12 urges HPD not to disqualify applicants who, after submitting their application, must eventually close on their applications, provided that the application was submitted at least 1 month prior to closing. So again, creating like some wiggle room where an applicant that most likely will qualify for the assistance can move forward on applying for and purchasing this home. And not being disqualified from the assistance because of delays on HPD's side.
Awesome. I see a hand. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, a couple of questions, but just a minor one. The application fee, is that a HPD fee or is that a HUD fee?
Tanisha is who drafted this, so I'm gonna let her chime in if she's on. And I will also look for the answer, but I don't know offhand. So if Tanisha, if you know, please.
I only ask because if it's a HUD fee, HPD may not be able to waive it, but decades ago, when I worked in affordable housing, and this program is not new, many of the banks, as part of their, incentive, they would absorb the application fee. So that's another thing that, the committee might want to look into or, urge HPD and their lending partners to pursue. The second, the be it further resolved, I'm not quite clear what is being asked.
Okay, well, in terms of the second resolve, I don't know if.
I mean, it says that, CB12 is urging HPD not to disquiet applicants who, after submitting their application, must close, provided that they're, so are you saying that if they close before they're approved, they should retroactively get the money? Or, I mean, what are you saying with that?
Yeah, I didn't actually draft this. I think Jay did. I was supposed to get information on the income to our
on the other
neighborhood,
one.
but it's very hard to find. So,
Jay, can you speak to that further resolved?
Well, Marielle wrote this in conjunction with the person that had participated in the program and shared with us all the issues that she had faced. She apparently went through the program, I think, twice. HPD.
I think it relates to the previous resolve, right? About the 2-month processing time, but I don't have further clarifying information. I would not be opposed to cutting that if it preserves,
Just that,
the bulk of the resolution.
if, CB12 was asking HPD to do something, should, state clearly what it is. And I think the first resolve asking for a reduction, we would be, instead of reducing the application processing time to a maximum of 2 months. That's clear. Be it further resolved, it's not at all clear to me, and I'm not sure it would be clear to HPD what we're asking them to do.
I think we might have to clarify this with the person who had faced the issues. I think this is not written well after the first line. Because from what I remember in the discussion, this was, I think, 3 months or 2 months ago, was that the lady had gone through the process, and there were a lot of issues, one of them being that while they're waiting to close on the home, they're gaining interest on the loan. It's like,
no,
as in, how this program works, or no?
Well, I mean, if the loan hasn't closed, then you can't be incurring interest. If you have to extend the loan commitment, there may be an additional fee, but that's something else. That my point is, we need to be clear what we're saying. And I wasn't in the meeting, so I don't know what the person's experience was or what they're saying. But from the community board's perspective, we want the city agency to respect our request and our opinion. So we need to be clear on what it is we're asking them to do and why.
Yeah, I agree. So why don't we just table this one, so I can go back and watch the video
I wouldn't suggest tabling the resolution. I would say you could, drop the be it further resolved and come back later with a second
Mhm.
resolution. But I think it's fine to ask them to reduce the fee and to
Okay.
reduce the costs.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I feel like that
Yeah.
ask is very clear, and you can always, and this is a great learning moment too. You can always add on more or do another one in another month.
Amend it later to add something to it.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so just so everyone's clear, I mean, you can also edit it to make it flow more. The spirit is still the same. So the not the first whereas, the whereas with the 850. So the 1, 2, 3, 4th stays the same, and the ask around the average processing time
Yeah, so I
are
mean,
the two asks. Okay,
keeping the first resolved and dropping the be it further resolved.
got it. All right, perfect. Thank you both, or all three, for that clarification too. Next up we have Steve Simon for Health and Environment. Steve, just as a FYI, you have a really buzz behind you. I think it's just the space that you're in. So if I mute you after you speak, it's just so we can hear other people.
Okay, I don't hear it. I don't hear the buzz myself. Must be coming through the computer somehow. All right, so the Health and Environment Committee has two resolutions. The first of which is a response to a New York Presbyterian's sudden announcement in May that it was implementing a 2% staffing cut, eliminating approximately 1,000 positions across the board through its system, effective June 20th. However, some of these layoffs took effect last week. 42 nurses represented by the New York State Nurses Association at the medical center. So, we heard at our last general board meeting about the negative impact of these cuts. We further heard in more detailed testimony at our committee meeting on June the 5th about how particular services were actually going to be lost completely because of these layoffs, including an inpatient palliative care unit and a special pediatric epilepsy monitoring unit. And we heard really compelling testimony by the nurses who were affected and who were going to be laid off or forced to take demotions. So again, this is a situation where the hospital is not really being very transparent, is not really explaining why it's making these implementing these layoffs at this time. All they do is refer to so-called macroeconomic realities and anticipated challenges. So our resolution recognizes the indispensable role of nurses and nurse practitioners, particularly those who have served courageously throughout the COVID-19 pandemic and who continue to care for some of the city's most vulnerable patients, and is concerned that these layoffs will likely have a disparate impact on women and women of color. And be it further resolved, Committee Board 12 Manhattan urges New York Presbyterian Hospital to immediately reverse the elimination of nursing and nurse practitioner positions at Columbia University Irving Medical Center, including those at the Milstein Hospital and the Children's Hospital of New York, and commit to the continued delivery of high-quality inpatient, palliative, and pediatric specialty care in North Manhattan, as well as the other services affected by these layoffs.
Okay, thanks. For that first resol, is there anyone that has any comments for Health and Environment and Steve? All right, cool. Steve, do you want to talk about your second one, H? I mean, I know it's been raised, but.
So this is an outgrowth of the public hearing that we held on May 5th, the joint hearing held by both the Health and Environment and Traffic and Transportation Committees. To make it clear, this resolution does not prohibit the events that are taking place at any of the plazas, does not say that they can't be held, simply provides um, uh, basic, simple rules that they should follow, and uh, these were for the most part suggested by members of the community who came to our hearing and spoke, and who said that they had difficulty talking on the phone in their own apartments while some of these events were taking place, especially late at night. That they couldn't have any relief, especially on weekends, because there were events that were back to back, and the fact is that. I think what also came out during this hearing is that it's not necessarily uh, permitted events, although it could be that have been events have been permitted on consecutive days. But there's also apparently a problem of pop-up events of people who are taking advantage of the plazas and just showing up there and having unauthorized events. So this is not going to prevent the existing series of events that are planned at the plaza, but it may, in fact, at least alert the police to make sure that they aren't running late at night, that they aren't that the amplified sound isn't excessive, isn't and that maybe some attention will be paid to the unauthorized events. We're also asking that the events be publicized in advance so that people will know about them. They may want to join in and participate, or they may want to visit relatives that day. But it's I mean, for information is not providing information should not be a negative. Similar to what we do with the restaurants and bars, we ask that they know they post notices about their managers in case people want to contact them. We should do the same in this case as well. So the resolved calls upon the Street Activity Permit Office and the Department of Transportation, which is responsible for these plazas, to provide advance notice of all permitted events to Community Board 12 and require that the event organizers notify the surrounding community, that they prohibit the scheduling of back-to-back permitted events, especially on weekends, that they limited permitted amplified sound at these events to a maximum of 4 consecutive hours per day, that they ensure that no permitted events with amplified sound extend past 8 o'clock. One of our board members put in the chat earlier that there was an event or an amplified sound event that began at 10 o'clock the other night, and that they require bulletin boards or visible signage in all public plazas displaying notices of the upcoming permitted events at least 1 week in advance. And we also resolved that we call upon the NYPD precincts, the Department of Transportation, Department of Environmental Protection to enforce the time limits and sound restrictions of event permits in public plazas, including ensuring that events conclude on time and that unauthorized events are addressed promptly. That to me is one of the most important parts of this resolution, and that they monitor recurring noise complaints and take appropriate action against repeat offenders. And be it further resolved, the Community Board 12 urges the City of New York to explore instituting noise mitigation programs for older residential buildings disproportionately affected by sustained noise from outside sources, including window retrofitting or soundproofing.
Thanks, Steve. So any hands for Steve? I see Liz.
Hi, can you hear me?
Jay.
Okay. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
We can
Okay.
hear.
So I just want to say I live on Riverside Drive near the Dyckman Plaza, and there are a whole bunch of events that happen in that plaza that I really like. They're community-friendly events. I think they add a lot. I appreciate that the plaza is there, and I appreciate a lot of the programming that happens. I think it's a net benefit to the neighborhood. And also, sometimes they're really loud. Sometimes they're clearly exceeding the decibel limit. Sometimes they go past the time, and they're not always, there was like some weird pop-up religious meeting where it was not like musical entertainment. It was preaching, and it was very, very loud. I lived 3 blocks from the plaza, and I could hear. I was in a phone conversation, and someone asked, "What is going on in the background?" And when I explained this is what was going on in the plaza, they're like, "Wow, you can hear that from there." It would really suck if you lived in the building right on top of it. So I want to be really clear that there's a lot of value added to the community by the presence of these plazas in our neighborhood and the presence of the programming that they provide, and also the kinds of parameters that are described in this resolution are a helpful pushback to kind of achieve some harmony within the community so that everybody can peacefully coexist. I urge everybody to vote in favor of this resolution. And thank you very much for your work, Steve, for everybody who is a part of the noise task force that been really instrumental in moving this forward.
All right, we have Joelle and then Jay.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse my camera, it's not working. So I just have a couple questions about this resolution. So does the SAPO allow back-to-back events to be scheduled?
That is our understanding. I believe that we were asked for a schedule of permits, and there was that have been issued to date. I don't believe we received a complete list, but the list we received did have one example of back-to-back permits.
So they do. So I think that just a friendly amendment to this would be to prohibit the scheduling of back-to-back events, just because we're asking with this resolution to rewrite their policy, right? So I think that that's beyond the scope of the board to do that. I think it's a decision that office does already. So if they have events that are back-to-back, it's because it's allowed.
Well, so we're certainly within our ability to suggest to them that they should change their policy, because their policy is not perhaps beneficial to the community. Now, I don't know why we wouldn't be able to do that. And it doesn't appear to really be a drastic change in what's happening in these plazas.
So that's a no for the friendly amendment, right?
Well, I don't understand the amendment. Are you saying that we should allow the back-to-back permits?
I mean that it's, so just to be clear, what I'm saying is that it's beyond the scope of the board to suggest to an office to limit the back-to-back events.
Oh, well, I strongly disagree with you. I mean, they don't have to take our advice, but we certainly can offer that suggestion.
All right, and secondly, again, excuse my there's background noise. So I just think also, where is it? I'm sorry. So I just have a clarifying question. So when you say limit permitted amplified sound at public plazas, in like what way? Do you have any suggestions? Maybe we can suggest some to the office.
Well, what the resolution says is that amplified sound should be limited to a maximum of 4 consecutive hours per day, and that the amplified sound should not extend past 8 o'clock at night.
All right, great. Thanks. I'm sorry, one last comment. I just think that I wouldn't vote in favor of this, because I think that the resolution is a bit general. We're asking for events to be like limited, and I just don't think that that's conducive to creating a good culture and a good environment in these plazas. These plazas struggle right now as it is. So I think that by limiting them, especially when it comes to sound, I think we're just limiting the capacity to throw good events, especially like lively ones.
Well, the organizer of the events at Quisqueya Plaza, uh, Victor Santos, told me and told us at our hearing that his events for this coming summer are all due to end by 8 o'clock. So all we're doing with this resolution is putting is putting that into practice. He's already saying he intends to end by 8 o'clock. We're accepting that. That's his deadline. We're adopting it.
I understand, but that's probably just
hold on.
yeah.
We're
Go
going back
ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Joel.
Thanks. No, you're good, guy. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so that's gonna be a period there. We have 4, 5 plus me with 6. Again, I want to make sure everybody has the reso. So because after that, at that point, we're just gonna leave it to the vote. So Jay.
I just had a couple of follow-up questions, and some comments. One is, I live right by Quisqueya Plaza, and I pass by all the time. So I appreciate the part where they could at least tell the community board about the events that are occurring there. At least it's a form of public access to knowing what's happening. I guess I did want to follow up on the question earlier on permitted events with amplified sound extend past 8 p.m. I know you said that the person that does events there, is that the person that's in charge of all events for that plaza? Or is that just the person that does events there?
Well, he's the person who does the events on behalf of the authorized group that manages the plaza.
So anything that goes on in that plaza, he don't know about?
I'm sorry, that he would know about?
I'm asking that everything that goes on in that public plaza, this person would know about all of
Well,
it.
anything that's a permitted event, I assume he would know about. He might not know about the pop-up events. I wouldn't hold him responsible for those, where people may just show up and do stuff on their own. But there are specific events that he organizes, and he has told us that his plan during the summer is just to have one event each weekend, and that they would end by 8 o'clock. And so, as far as I'm concerned, this resolution on those points is consistent with what he plans to do, and would not.
Hold on, Jay, that was your time, and you got multiple questions in, so let's keep it pushing.
Let me just ask one follow-up question to that and statement then. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was being timed. Just on the ensure that no permitted events with amplified sound extend past 8 p.m. Does that, because I'm not sure, I know it's directed at SAPO and the Department of Transportation, but are we expecting the precinct to enforce this? Like if I was playing music and I was at the plaza and it was after 8, what happens?
Well, the police would have the if I mean the police are not going to show up. If just the police would have the ability to enforce those rules. Yes.
Okay, we gotta keep going with people who are in turn. Hold on, let me just go back up. So I think I lost my windows. All right, it's Jim, I have a new hand from Ellie, but Jim, Wayne, Tanisha is the next three.
Yeah, I have two parliamentary comments. One of them is Steve is absolutely correct. We have the right, in fact, it's our job to suggest to any city agency what it is we think they ought to do. I mean, if it turns out they can't because it's against the law or whatever, that's another story. But our whole purpose is once we, as a board, agree on saying something, we can say anything to any agency, again, suggesting what we think they should do. Since we're advisory, of course, they don't have to listen. The only other point, but it's sort of an educational point too, the stuff about the sound and stuff. If that's in a whereas, then it's just commentary. If we want them to actually do something about these sound limits, it has to be in a be it resolved. So I presume, Steve, that it is in a be it resolved. Because
Yes.
otherwise, right,
Yeah.
very good. But I also mention this because as an educational point. Thank you.
Go for it, Wayne.
Yeah, Jim sort of hit some of the points I was going to make, but one of the things I wanted to point out is years ago, CB12 had a very active SAPO task force that was headed by the late Emilia Cardona. And the task force under Emilia regularly made recommendations to SAPO on, matters that impacted the community. So as Jim said, it's perfectly within our right. It is our role to make those kind of recommendations to SAPA. If we can ask HPD to reduce an application fee and reduce the processing time for a program that is federally funded, we could certainly ask an office, of city government to, modify its, procedures. And in terms of the resolution itself, I don't see the resolution as being at all vague. It's specific and it's limited to matters pertaining to excessive noise. It does not prevent activities from occurring.
Thanks, Wayne.
As I said before, I believe that all of the events that are planned.
Comment was not required, Steve.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Tanisha?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify. So this is just for the event at Dykeman, or all events that are had in the district of 10?
Are you asking whether the resolution only applies to Dykeman?
Yes, or the plazas.
No, absolutely not. No, it applies to all of our plazas. No one plaza is.
Okay, so it applies. Okay, I'm trying to say, Steve, calm down. So it applies to the plazas, and that's exclusive to just the plaza.
Yes.
Right, because I want to lift up something here. Some people wait all year long for their block to have a block party, and they would. And I'm speaking for me as the community. We're gonna have a block party from 12, 1 to 8. We will always do that cutoff date, but I don't think it's fair to for people who are not doing it all the time. We just have to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanisha. I have my hand. I put it in the chat. I can't raise it. I want to say one. I think the majority of the whereases on page 1 was really good detail from the hearing and bringing in balance, and I think focusing, because I think when we get into this conversation, we think that all sound is noise, and that's not what we're talking about. Like, not all sound equals noise. This is about excessive noise. So it's not the same thing like a little bird or music outside your window. Where I do wanna, there's two things that bring me pause, right? One is around the limitation of the 4 consecutive hours per day. But in theory, like green markets, community health fairs use amplified sound for more than 4 hours. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, but an event like that we sponsored, our senior event at the Audubon Plaza, was longer than 4 hours. And in that case, the use of amplified sound wouldn't have been allowable. So I don't know if that's not really a friendly amendment because it's more substantive, but I would urge us to remove that time limitation because health fairs usually go on for about 6-7 hours and they're by community organizations, and so the 4 doesn't really fit. The second thing second point was, and again, this is all advisory, but the second thing is around enforcement. I don't know if similar to the housing one, that's something we might want to tackle in a separate resolution. It's just, when we call the NYPD to enforce, what does that mean? So if somebody is at a public plaza because it is their public street and they have amplified sound from 9 to 11 p.m. and I'm just gathered with my family, what does that mean? Right? Like, I don't think that we've put in any kind of language in terms of like what is excessive use of force. Is there maybe like educationals? Are there light fines? Are there what? And I think kind of keeping it open-ended, particularly in this political moment, or not political moment, excuse me, in this climate around public safety and enforcement, I think, it would be remiss to not really kind of consider that closer. So I feel like that's an opportunity to have a follow-up resol that's a little tighter on that. So those are my points.
Well, I mean, what's the events we're talking about are not in the same category as health fairs or the other thing, whatever else you mentioned. We're talking about events that have continuous amplified sound that are basically like concerts, and are more apt to cause disturb the public.
I'm gonna violate the rule because it's a clarification. The language we have on there is around 4 consecutive hours for permitted events. So I'm gonna just use our event as an example. It was on Audubon Plaza. It was longer than 4 hours. And a lot of health fairs do take place at either Dykeman or Audubon Plaza, and that's usually over 4 hours. So permitted events can be beyond 4 hours. That's all I'm saying. And may need sound.
Well, maybe we need to add the word continuous to limit the use of continuous amplified sound.
That's on you. Just wait. I'm gonna just take hands if that's okay. But Domingo, Eliezer, and then Jim, and I think we're good to wrap up.
Hey, Steve. So I have 2 points. One of them is also like potentially like problem solving for the future. There's so many different ways to conduct events, and encouraging these agencies to like I've seen those silent parties, and potentially seeing how the city could provide grants to plazas to be able to mitigate sound and do these like I saw in Lincoln, in at I forgot the name of it. It's like in 80 something street. They do opera there and stuff like that. I forgot the name, but they have these silent parties, which I think it's like how we help plazas is by helping them increase capacity and their understanding of different type of events. And I think the city's responsibility as the people who provide these permits, they should be responsible for also incorporating other different ways of being able to conduct these events and maintain these culture of. And just a recommendation, like I personally, as an event organizer, I feel like putting a time for an event to stop makes sense, but putting a limit on amplified sound, because amplified sound could just be a way of telling people, hey, I need people to move, I need people to do this. Once you prevent an organizer from being able to speak to the people participating, is just adding more layers of like if the permit says is from 11 to 8, then whatever the precinct, because the precinct is the one that gives the amplified sound, then it's on them to work that out. But I don't think putting a 4 hour cap on people is fair.
Sorry about that. Eliezer,
Yeah, I think both Domingo and Tanya touched upon the points that I wanted to bring, and that they are, you know, black parties, and what Domingo said about putting limitations on sound, you know, who is the poor, and what is, if we means us, and it just means a way of just putting limitations. I don't want to over expand on two very important points, and I just spoke because they already have spoken probably better than I will. So yeah, it's mostly saw considering that both Iskaya and Audubon Plaza are the only non-institutionally programmed plazas, as Haven and Yeshiva are both institutionalized programming plazas that we, as the community board, have zero to none context as to what it is that both of these plazas do year in and year out. So I think the programming is important. I'm glad that Steve mentioned that Victor Sanchez and the people that control the programming at least attended the meeting, and they are willing and able to kind of like share what it is that's happening in the classes. So thank you both Domingo and Tanya for touching up on those 2 points.
okay. I want to be mindful of time. We still have to get to licensing and vote, and it's 8:43 p.m. Time for tonight. So I'm gonna take Indiana, and we're gonna move on.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight, I think one of the issues, or the bulk of the issues, at least that I've experienced, is not with permitted events. It's people who I think like put out speakers and things like that, at least in my neighborhood, right? At 10 p.m., it's not an event that ran over or is too loud. It's just like random people who are gathering and playing in the park. And so I'm not sure if this does it. While I do think it addresses a need, I'm not sure if it gets to the bulk of a lot of what I heard from the community and what I've experienced myself.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to interject, Kathy, that there's a distinction between stuff at plazas and block parties. So the block party rules are different, and we're not talking about block parties.
Thank you, Jim. All right, so we had, I think, ample discussion. Folks can see it. See food for thought if there are amendments that you're gonna make, but we're gonna move on to licensing and then roll call. So Isidro, if you're still with us.
Also traffic and transportation.
I couldn't hear you. What happened? When?
Also traffic and transportation.
Oh my gosh. That's what happens when I have 5 windows. I know that he had some issues getting on. Oh, Isidro, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, you're on mute.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chair. We had an amazing meeting at licensing. We had 2 new board members coming up to licensing. I feel that they enjoy the meeting, and we hope maybe that they could join us as committee members later on. Just a quick announcement, the committee is revising the questionnaire. Really shout out to Anthony and also Hector Bonilla, who are working in defining, clarifying the questionnaire to include the sidewalk cafes and also the TOC licenses, which all come into licensing committee meetings. Also, a quick point to let you know that we are switching out agenda item number 6 from a positive to a negative. This particular applicant was asked to submit proof of a sound limiter as they wanted to do a change out to a method operation. They wanted to increase the hours, and because of that, the committee requested for them to submit proof of purchase of a sound limiter, so it will not be a problem for the residents. This particular applicant has not come to the community board ever. So much so that we couldn't find a resolution about this particular applicant. So it's telling that even when we require a simple ask, that they don't come through. So again, agenda item number 6 is going to be switched to an objection. On that note, the rest of the requests that we made to the members, they were submitted on time. Chair, that's all I have. I'm going to open the floor for questions. And also just if I can add, Chair, just a reminder that we're going to add that whereas for all the sidewalk of applications that we had, we're going to include the Jackson's rule for all cafes applications that come to our committee. Wayne.
Hi, Isidro. The woman who spoke during public session, which reso did that pertain to?
So that would have been agenda item on my agenda, Havana Heights. That would have been number 13, but because of the switch, the renumbering of the agenda, that doesn't appear on the agenda that we have as community board for this meeting. So that would come on the agenda item 15. It's not listed on the agenda, so as you know, so that'll be Havana Heights. But the chair will have, I guess, the final say in how we're going to resolve this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I was
see.
gonna say, because that was a sidewalk cafe, and at exec, but essentially at exec, we agreed that it would be the same resolution that we have for A through.
So
what
we
is it?
in fact approved that in exec. And so
Right.
yes, it's just for the full board to affirm exec committee.
Well, I don't think it came before us at the exec committee.
That was the one that Anthony mentioned at the start of the meeting, that it was objected to, essentially didn't pass. Am I remembering correctly? Right, it didn't pass. And then as we were discussing at exec, it was like, oh, well, we could have done it here, and it's the same protocol. So essentially we were supposed to fold it in with the same reso, same language as A through D, but it's not on here tonight. So what I'm proposing that I'm basically gonna do is just, because it's the same stuff as A through D, I'll ratify it. I mean, I'll sign it, and then in September we can just ratify it because we have to 3 months later. But.
So they fulfill the same requirements as the others. All right. So
Yeah.
they're being given. Okay. So what was that? Was that our fault that the full package didn't get to the committee?
Yes, it was an issue of like, it was at it was supposed to go here, then it was a mix up.
Oh, okay, so
from when it went to licensing versus it could have come fully here tonight, but didn't.
So they actually showed good faith and actually submitted the full package to the board, but for whatever reason, it didn't come before us at the appropriate time. So, well, then they certainly should not be punished for that.
Right. So that's how we were supposed to fold it in. It's not on our agenda tonight. Not obviously we can't vote on something that's not before the board. So I can sign it and then we ratify later.
Mary. You're muted now, Mary.
Mary, you're muted. Oh, there you
Sorry. A question about Havana Heights. We talked about the sidewalk width, for the sidewalk cafe, the width of the available sidewalk, being 8 feet. Has that been measured by Havana Heights?
They submitted a floor plan to DOT, and based on the drawings, they have 6 tables and 12 chairs. They appear to have measured the available square foot is going to be allowed for people to pass by.
I don't know, because I can barely get by with my rollator.
Maybe
nobody can pass me. So again, I question that.
Yeah, this is going to be reviewed by DOT, and they will check out all the measurements. So I'm sure it's going to be double checked.
Okay.
Based on the drawings that I have here, they only have like 6 tables, and each table is going to have 2 chairs. If they go beyond that, that's something that'll be another matter.
Okay, because in the past, it was many more tables and chairs than that. But they also have the awning, the tent over that. And that's where, you have to be on the outside of that to get by. And I think that's less than 8 feet.
Yeah, based on the pictures that they submitted, it seems like the awning does go over. But the structure that they had, that was permanent. This cannot be permanent.
Okay.
We'll see.
I don't.
And so it'll be what number on the
It won't be, Havana Heights won't be on the agenda tonight. It'll be on the agenda for September for ratifying.
Oh, okay. Okay,
so-
I'm confused.
Yeah, sorry
That's
about
what-
that.
okay.
Okay, I don't see any more hands for Isidro, so we're gonna, Leo is having issues unmuting with his mic. I know Carmen has his remarks, or he was gonna try dialing in.
Yeah, if Leo hasn't unmuted yet, I can definitely step in.
No, you can step in. I don't.
Okay, awesome.
He's gonna try calling.
So, hi everyone. The Traffic Transportation is putting before you tonight 3 separate resolutions.
Is it possible to speak up? Sorry.
Okay. Is this any better? No? Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a mic. I'm just talking into my laptop. So the Traffic and Transportation Committee is putting before all of you today 3 resolutions. One on the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Scenic Byway. I'll just mention that very briefly, and then I'll let Bruce add any other details since he was so wonderful in drafting this resolution. But that resolution is essentially supporting the designation of the proposed Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Scenic Byway in New York State. It's a 544-mile route that honors the path of freedom seekers. And that byway would essentially connect historical sites, including a site at 857 Riverside Drive, which is right here in Washington Heights. And it's essentially, the purpose is to preserve and elevate the stories of Harriet Tubman and the people who fought for freedom. So that's it in a nutshell. Bruce, do you want to add anything to that?
No, other than we have our own abolitionist house around the corner at 857 Riverside, which is very unique for Northern Manhattan. And we're including that. And also the resolution says that we will protest any more billboards along the highway for the Harriet Tubman Scenic Byway, which we were involved with 10 years ago at 155 with Amtrak, and that was a whole other issue that we won't get into now. Thank you, Carmen. That was wonderful.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bruce. The other resolution, I actually don't have the agenda in front of me. Is it Cabrini or is it Dykeman? What's the one following that? I guess the order doesn't matter.
Green is first.
One or the other. Doesn't.
Right. I'm like, I guess the order doesn't matter. So there is another resolution that supports DOT's proposal to install contractor bike lanes on Cabrini Boulevard between 180th and 181st, and conventional two-way bike lanes on West 181st between Cabrini and Broadway, and also on West 182nd between Broadway and Amsterdam. It's essentially trying to close the gap between the George Washington Bridge and the Hudson Greenway. Some people wrote in the comments earlier that they strongly support this resolution. This proposal really underscores enhanced cyclist safety through dedicated lanes that calm traffic and really discourage sidewalk riding and preserve the existing travel lanes and parking. According to DOT, this is considered a Tier 1 priority sector for Upper Manhattan, and we're just reinforcing our support to this. The completed work for this would be by summer, fall 2025. And we also included that we call for ongoing multilingual outreach and education to ensure that riders are informed about this. Is this questions about this one particularly? Or should I move on to, okay, go ahead, Steve.
My question is on the first resolution.
Okay.
Do you want to finish talking about all 3 first?
Okay, yes, I'll do that. And then the last one is the proposal for the Dykeman connector to the Greenway. We also strongly support DOT's plan to install these protected bike lanes, curb extensions, and pedestrian islands, and a left turn restriction along Riverside Drive from Broadway to Seaman Avenue. This proposal removes one travel lane in each direction and reconfigures some turn movements and converts 7 parking spaces to daylighting and bike facilities. This also maintains traffic capacity while making sure that we're enhancing safety in the area. For this one particularly, according to DOT, they said there were 58 injuries and 7 people killed or severely injured in the last 4 years in this corridor, and it ranks amongst the most hazardous in Manhattan. So we recommended that DOT preserve curbside access, only removing the 7 spots, and had high visibility markings due to the lack of elevated pedestrian islands. And I can take some questions now.
You've got, I'm gonna go to Wayne first and then see.
Okay.
Yeah, not really a question, just clarification. Bruce mentioned that regarding the Harriet Tubman resolution that CB12 would protest any additional, signs, and it actually doesn't say that. It says that you will not approve any requests for new off-premise outdoor advertising signs designated, along this line, which I think is more appropriate than protesting it. So we're saying you will not approve.
You're right, Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Wayne.
Well,
Steve,
what was your question?
well, actually, I have a problem with that particular language because it infers that we are that requests for this outdoor advertising actually come before us, and that we actually are in a position to approve or not approve those requests. So I would suggest we change the language to just say that that we will oppose any new outdoor advertising signs along the designated Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad. And in fact, I mean, if it's only an issue really down where we live at around 155th Street, next to the Amtrak line, where they have the ability to put up signs and get around city law. And you can't post any advertising signs along the Henry Hudson further up, especially because it's a scenic byway. But I wouldn't want language to suggest that we are in a position where we approve or disapprove requests for outdoor advertising, because they're not submitted to us. We don't normally see that.
So, Steve, let me interrupt you. CB9 passed a resolution exactly like this. Other community boards have passed it. I think you're making a mountain of a molehill, and it's not really the key point of this resolution. You're right, but why is it worth haggling over?
Well, we don't have to haggle. You can just agree to change the language.
We're not gonna do that, Steve, because other community boards have passed this. This is what the consortium asked us to approve.
Well, the fact of the matter is there are no requests for outdoor advertising that come before this board.
I have a point of order.
You're right.
Yeah, hold on.
Excuse me.
We're getting in a back and forth. Is that the point of order, Jim? Or is that another
The
one?
point of order is the fact that Steve is correct. The language, whatever other people may have written, is not appropriate. The only thing we can say is that we oppose it, or we will oppose it. So the resolution must be changed because it is incorrect.
point taken.
What's incorrect about it, please?
Wait,
We don't get to approve it. All we can do is, as advisors, oppose it. So that's what we're going to say, that we will oppose it. And if other community boards use language that they should not have used, that is their problem. But we are going to use language, as Steve pointed out, that is appropriate to what we're allowed to do.
Jim,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Friendly amendment taken. Thank you, y'all. We can move on.
Thank you, Carmen. That covers all 3 traffic. I don't see a hand. We're gonna go into a roll call right now. It is 9:01. I want to just make sure if folks are clear about amendments that are gonna be made or any new language that they got that they want to submit. Go ahead, Alexa.
So as of right now, we can vote on everything. We're not taking anything out, correct? We're not taking any resolutions out?
No, just be for folks to be aware into what number was it, Isidro, again? That was negative and is now a positive.
No, I thought it was
Number 6.
No, negative.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Yeah, switch
So
to
now
neg-
it is a sorry. Woo, see, and now it is a negative.
Yeah.
We are objecting to number 6.
I already changed that part. I was just questioning about other ones. Okay.
Sorry, Alexis, before you start, Steve, did you get my messages? This is Carmen speaking regarding our resolution on the public plazas and noise regulations.
I'm sorry, did you send me messages?
I sent you messages on Zoom and also by email. If you want to check real quick before we get to the roll call.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on.
While he gets that, just in case there's no language, I'm gonna pull up just kind of like how we vote as a refresher. And then we're gonna do kind of like our lightning round for committee chairs who would like to say anything around before we conclude for the summer.
You ready to go for roll call?
Well, hold on a second.
Hold on, because Steve has no language.
And it looks like Mary has her hand up in the meantime.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I didn't hear what you said before.
Did you say that to me, Carmen, or to our chair?
No, to Chair Catherine.
Oh no, what I said earlier was I think what I said earlier was that we're giving time for Steve to get new language.
Okay.
I'm gonna put okay, we're there, and then after we vote, it'll be any committee chairs who have anything to say before we break for summer.
Okay, because I thought you said something about doing it now. Okay.
Okay, so Carmen is raising this question, which I think someone else may also have put in the chat about clarifying what amplified sound means. Amplified sound is defined in the city's noise code, so we don't need to reinvent the wheel on that point. It's it's already spelled out in the city law. And then I think I already said that I would clarify the maximum of 4 hours to make it clear that it's continuous. She's also suggesting that we make it 6 hours instead of 4. If people are if people want that, I'm willing to do that.
And then the enforcement part?
I think you have to have enforcement of some level. I mean, it's then it has no teeth at all. And basically it's those that provision is not, as I see it, is not really going to involve events that are currently organized and are regularly scheduled at the plazas. That's mostly going to address the ones that are unauthorized, where people just show up there and do their own thing.
Great. So does everyone have clarity on what they're voting for? For the people?
Yes, I have clarity.
Yes.
And very little battery life.
Great. Just wanted to make sure that that was clear and we didn't leave that in the air. Wanted to close the loop.
Are you referring, Carmen, that when you say clarity, the two key points, which is the time?
I can't hear anything that you
Yeah,
just said.
you sound
I'm
super
sorry.
muffled.
All right. It's good.
All right, Alexis, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve.
Also, Alexis, my last name is Loris Ritter. Can you please call me under L, not R?
Yeah. Which resolution is from the health committee, from Steve's committee?
Well,
I didn't hear anything.
Well, there were two resolutions, and the second one on the plazas is H, and I assume you're not voting on that one.
Not anything or not even transportation. So that's what I needed to know. Which one I'm abstaining on.
No, you're not voting.
H through K, basically.
H through K.
But let
All
him,
right.
yeah, but we'll say that and Alexis will clarify when. So Alexis, it's over to you.
Thank you. Joe Abreu,
I am voting no on H and yes to the rest.
no on H and yes to the rest. Joe Abreu, no on H and yes to the rest. Jumirna Alcaber, yes.
Alexis, do you mind coming back to me, please?
Okay. Richard Allman? Richard Allman? Nope. Is he not here? Mary Anderson?
Yes to all.
Mary Anderson, yes to all. Jay Baez? Jay Baez?
Can you come back to me?
I can do that. Jacob Banis?
Yes to all, please.
Okay, thank you. Jacob Banis, yes to all. Radia Barnes?
Yes to all.
Radia Barnes, yes to all. Wayne Benjamin?
Yes to all.
Wayne Benjamin, yes to all. James Berlin?
I vote no on numbers 5, 7, 8, and 9. I abstain on 13 and 18 and 19, and I vote yes to everything else.
Okay, so here we go. No on 5, 7, 8, and 9. Abstain on 13, 18, and 19, and yes to the rest.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. John Benitez. John Benitez? Okay. Danny Bonilla? Danny Bonilla?
Sorry. Yes to all.
Danny Bonilla, yes to all.
Yeah.
Hector Bonilla?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Hector Bonilla, yes to all. You guys put a smile on my face. Eliezer Bueno? Eliezer?
Yes to all except for the H to K. I think that's what Kathy said. Due to I work for DOT, so that's the conflict of interest.
So that's H through K for the conflict of interest?
Okay, correct.
Okay, so Eliezer Bueno, H to K, conflict of interest, yes to the rest. Daryl Cochran.
Yes to all.
Daryl Cochran, yes to all. Darlie Corneal. Darlie Corneal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes to all except for the one, the plaza. I just can't remember the name. I can't look
No,
up.
no, no, Darlie, I need you to be clearer. So you're saying no on, what are you saying no on?
No to the Dykeman Plaza.
Which is yeah, but she has to see. All right. I just can't, you just can't give me like the plaza one. While I'm doing this,
I think it's, let me help you out, Alexis. I think that is resolution H, if anybody else can confirm.
Let me look it up very quickly.
That's right.
Okay, so Darlie, you're no to H and yes to the rest.
Yes. Thank you, Kathy.
But when I'm speaking, just listen to my question and answer it, please. Nobles
I
Crawford?
say yes. I say yes.
Okay.
I confirm your question.
I'm moving on. Nobles Crawford? Is he not here? Is he absent? Okay, Robin Cruz?
Yes to all.
Robin Cruz, yes to all. Stephen De Jesus?
Stefan. Conflict of interest, H through K. I work for DOT. I think last time though we established that sidewalk cafes are included in conflict of interest. If that's the case, then I would have to I would have to exclude that for 10 through 19 and also 8 through 19.
I'm so sorry, dear. I couldn't hear you. I know you said conflict of interest through for H through K. And what was the other?
And then if sidewalk cafes are included in that, that's A through D, A, B, C, D, and then 10 through 19 as well.
So A through D is also conflict of interest?
Correct.
Okay, so conflict of interest on H through K and A through D, and yes to the rest.
And 10 through 19 is also conflict.
I'm sorry, what, dear?
10 through 19. Sorry, the audio is bad on my laptop.
So 10 through 19 is also conflict of interest?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So conflict of interest on A through D, H through K, 10 through 19. Yes to the rest, if there's any. I don't know.
Yes to the rest. That's right. Thank you.
What exactly is your conflict of interest?
He already said he works for DOT.
Some of them are not related to DOT as far as I can tell. I may be incorrect, but if they are, then that is the case.
No,
You are incorrect. They are sidewalk cafes and he can't vote on them.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Alexis.
Catherine Diaz?
Come back to me. I'm helping you with people.
Okay. Noemi Diaz?
Hi, yes to all, no to H.
All right, so we're going to say no to H and yes to the rest.
There you go.
Okay, just for clarity for all the new folks, when you are voting, you can say no, which ones you're saying no to, and then yes to the rest. It can't be no to this and then yes to all, okay? So thank you. So just Noemi again, no to H and yes to the rest.
Correct.
Thank you, love. And Domingo Estevez.
I abstain on H, yes to the rest.
So Domingo, abstain on H and yes to the rest. Domingo Estevez, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Erwin Fernandez?
Hello. No to H, yes to the rest.
Okay, Erwin, no to H and yes to the rest. Thank you. Luana Ferrara?
Yes to all. Thank you, Stephen, for the amendments.
Okay, Luana Ferrara, yes to all. Sonia Figueroa? Sonia?
Hold on. I guess you can come back.
Okay. John Francis?
Yes to all.
John Francis, yes to all. Jonathan Prometta?
I abstain on H, yes to the rest.
Okay. Abstain on H, yes to the rest. So Jonathan Prometta, abstain on H and yes to the rest?
Correct.
Thank you. I just want to make a clarifying statement from earlier. When I am trying to get an answer from somebody and I can't hear the cross talking. So please just let the person that is voting answer. Thank you.
Alexis, I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask you to call on Liz because her phone's on 2%.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. I am not voting due to conflict on D as in David, not voting due to conflict on 10, 15, 16, 17, 19. Once again, that's 10, 15 through 17, and 19, as well as D as in David. The conflict is that all of those proprietors have made donations to one or more of the nonprofits on whose board I serve, and I am yes to the rest.
Okay, so 10, 15 through 17, and D is conflict of interest, and yes
And
to the
also 19.
And 19.
Yep.
So 10, 15 through 17, 19, and D, conflict of interest, and yes to the rest.
Correct. Thank you so much. Good night, all.
Good night. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Let me go back. Wait, do we get to Jonathan Prometta?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the wrong line. So ignore me. Ignore my senility. Tai Fujimura?
He's out today.
Okay. Is that absent or excused?
He is excused. It's work.
Okay. Thank you. Tanisha Grant?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain on H and yes to the rest. Thank you.
So Tanisha Grant, abstain on H and yes to the rest. Heidi Guzman?
I am abstaining on A through D, H through K, and 10 through 19. I just accepted an offer at DOT, so it's not a conflict of interest, but I am abstaining and yes to the rest.
Okay, so abstain on A through D.
Yes.
And then?
H through K.
H through K.
And 10 through 19.
And 10 through 19, and yes to the rest. So I'm just going to repeat this again for clarity. Heidi Guzman, abstain on A through D, H through K, 10 through 19, and yes to the rest.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Jody Herson.
Yes to all.
Jody Herson, yes to all. Andrea Intriago. Andrea?
He's here. Hold on. I think. Where else?
Well, I have to redo a bunch of people, so I'll just come back. Mariam James.
Miriam's not on the board anymore.
Oh, okay. She's still on here. All right. Leo Jimenez.
Leo, we can come back to. He needs to call me so I can put it on speaker for you.
Okay, no problem. OC Kaminar?
Yes to all.
OC Kaminar, yes to all. Alexis Marnell, abstaining on H and yes to the rest. Tracy McNeil?
Abstain on H and yes to the rest.
So Tracy McNeil, abstain on H and yes to the rest. And Isidro Medina?
Abstaining on H, yes to the rest.
Okay, Isidro Medina, abstain on H and yes to the rest. And I'm sorry, and Mayas?
Abstain on H, yes to the rest.
Okay, and Mayas, abstain on H and yes to the rest. And please forgive me, I'm going to say Mr. Montano. Dion, I'm going to call you, I keep on wanting to say your name in Greek, but sorry. Diogenes, is he here?
Diogenes, no.
Diogenes? I want to call him Dionysius and it's tripping me up. Okay. Absent or excused, Kathy?
I believe absent to my knowledge.
Okay.
He's in the chat. He needs to be promoted to panelist. Sorry.
Look at that. See, all right, but let's fix that. Sorry about that. Oh, it's because it says D. That's one.
Diogenes?
Yes.
Yes to all?
Abstain on H, yes to all. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Diogenes, abstain on H and yes to the rest.
Yes.
Great. Carmen Polino?
Yes to all.
Carmen Polino, yes to all. Indiana Porta? Indiana?
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute. Yes to all, and I'm going to abstain on H.
So it's abstain on H.
Abstain on H and yes to all.
And yes to the rest. Thank you. So Indiana Porta, abstain on H and yes to the rest. Okay, Liz already voted. Bruce?
Yes to all, and you
I'm
all
sorry,
have a
Bruce
great
Robertson.
summer. Enjoy your summer. Stay
Bruce
cool.
Robertson, did you say yes to all?
I did say yes to all.
Thank you.
Stay cool.
I'll try. Steve Simon?
Yes to all.
Steve Simon, yes to all. Melissa Sims?
Yes to all.
Melissa Sims?
Yes to all.
Yes, I'm sorry, Melissa Sims, yes to all. Eton Steinbaum,
Yes to all.
Eton Steinbaum, yes to all. Lizette Tavares. Lizette Tavares.
Liz, that was here. Let's see if she's gonna be attending. No, I think she might have left.
Okay. Carlin Egbu.
Abstain on H and yes to the rest.
Okay, Carlin Egbu, abstain on H and yes to the rest. Crystal Woodley. Crystal
I'm
Woodley.
gonna abstain on H and yes to the rest.
Okay, Crystal Woodley, abstain on H and yes to the rest. Okay, let me go back. Sorry. Jamirna?
Abstain on H, yes to the rest.
No on H, you said, dear?
Abstain on H, yes to the rest.
So, Jamirna, abstain on H and yes to the rest.
Have a great summer, by the way.
You too, dear. Jay Baez.
No on H, yes to the rest.
Okay, Jay Baez, no on H and yes to the rest. Catherine, you ready? Catherine,
Yeah, and then I have Leo on the line, so he can go right after me if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna do no on H and yes to the rest.
Catherine Diaz, no on H and yes to the rest.
And then hold on. I hope there's not a lot of feedback. All right, Leo, you could go. Oh wait. I got my AirPods on. Sorry, hold on. All right.
Now I can, yes, dear.
Okay, so no on H, yes to the rest.
Okay, so Leo Jimenez, no on H and yes to the rest.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, did we come back? Did you need to come back to Andrea?
Andrea's not here.
Okay. Sonia Figueroa? She's not here. Did she leave?
Who wasn't it? Was it like Sonia?
Yeah.
I think she just hopped off. Probably.
Okay. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, we are done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So we have about 5 minutes. I want to allow for any committee chairs that have not spoken tonight. If anything you want to share out with folks on the call still.
For business development, refer to the minutes. Thanks, Chair. Everyone have a great summer.
Too, dear.
Parks and Cultural Affairs, refer to the minutes. Have a wonderful summer. Stay cool.
You too.
And for land use, refer to the minutes, but also for everyone, the Manhattan plan that was mentioned by the representative from City Hall. Take a look at the reference materials and the extent to which it applies to your committees. Let residents know that they can provide their comments directly to city planning.
Thank you, Wayne.
Sorry, I forgot also to the YouTube streaming. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Chair for Human Services and Housing, just wanted to let you know that we had folks from Fort Washington Collegiate Church come and still want the community board to be engaged and to help advocate for at least more transparency as to what the future plans are regarding their meeting today. Thank you.
from public safety. Enjoy your summer, wherever you go. Stay safe and take care of one another. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Are we calling people or what?
Go for it, Mary.
Okay, because I had my hand up. Just wanted to say I don't have minutes for this month because we had the wonderful health fair in Audubon Plaza on June 5th. And again, I want to thank everybody that came by to help us out and to help us celebrate the event. We had 24 tables and we had over 220 seniors attending. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And the Aging Committee partnered with several other organizations to do this event. And it's going to be a yearly event. This is the third year. It was the first year that the Aging Committee in particular joined forces. So we'll be continuing this. And I want to again welcome all the new board members, and hopefully I will see some of you on my committee by September. And have a great summer, everybody.
Thanks, Mary. Anyone else? Other committee chairs that I missed? Again, thanks everybody so much, especially for members of the public who hung on. As I mentioned in the chat, especially because we are on Zoom, the numbers have to get kind of totaled and sent over to the office. So if there are resolutions that you're curious about, you can call the office, I would say on Thursday or Friday, and they can get back to you on those. For all of our board members, just stay tuned for a email from me around new board member orientation, if we are having committee of the whole and what will happen. And I know some folks have definitely voiced about having kind of like a potluck or like a brunch or something like that. So I will send that over email and see, a little poll if there are folks who are going to be around in July so that we can have that too. But I hope, again, everybody got the chance to vote today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging on, for everything. Have a great week. If y'all have family members graduating, congrats, enjoy, and have a great night.
Steve, Kathy, Steve has a...
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead. Steve's always the end.
Yeah, I just want to mention in my capacity with the Parks Department that the Parks Department has hired a consultant to investigate the problems along the Fort Washington Park Greenway between 181st Street and Dyckman Street, and will be holding a community listening session on July the 8th. The flyer is going to be going out to the public in the next couple of days, and we'll be asking the community board to circulate it to the community at large. This is an effort to finally resolve the recurring issues with sinkholes that crop up from time to time along that section of the Greenway.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. We can include that in the reminders email. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
You got a motion, right? Don't we have to motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, you're right. I was like, I'm ready. I'm done.
Second.
I heard a 1 and a second. Thank you, Alexis. Thanks, Carmen. Have a
Who
good night.
motioned? Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. So who motioned?
Carmen.
Thank you, dear.
Second by me.
Who's me? I can't see.
Luana. Me.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you,
Good luck
Chair.
to all of us, people.